No, this is for the radio show. These are for Facebook and YouTube
Gotcha.
and stuff, so. We actually get better recording through this than we do this, but I haven't figured out how to get it to record up there, so.
Okay.
Have you talked to Bill lately?
No, just over the internet. I mean, through
Email or something?
emails, yeah.
It's a good condenser mic.
Silence my phone.
Yeah, if you haven't silenced your phone, you wouldn't want to do that. Silence your phone?
Oh yeah, I give my kids have it.
Oh, okay.
Disney.
Oh, that's right, you just said that, didn't you? Okay.
I have to share then, right?
No, no, I got one.
Oh, you got a lavalier mic? Okay. Oh, lapel. Right.
I'm special.
Forces.
No, just special. There's no forces behind it.
Oh, he's special.
I was reading your book, man. You went from special ed to special forces.
Yeah,
I can't
that's
hear of
right.
nobody ever done that before.
So,
It's pretty
all
amazing.
right, let me see, what am I doing? Oh, recording, okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
You ready?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
And you're gonna, because this, you have to talk loud. Not like real loud, but loud enough so we pick up there real good. Does it make sense?
Roger that.
If it's too loud, then it echoes, so. Alrighty, and. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're listening to,
Looking for the evidence.
and I'm Gordon Walsh,
I'm Ron Oldenburg.
and today we have
Patrick Harley.
Patrick Harley, all right. And today we're going to be talking about green energy. Should we take care of the planet? What does the Bible say about us taking care of the planet? All that good stuff. And you are the owner of?
Columbia Basin Solar. We specialize in solar installations and also battery backup.
Outstanding. So, and so we're going to talk about that, and then he's going to talk about what he does and things like that. So just kind of like we've always done in the past. So we'll be talking about what the Bible talks about should we take care of our planet? Are we doing a good job at taking care of our planet? All that good stuff. And then, and we'll let you interject with what you want to talk about. You know what I mean? So
Yes, sir.
tell us a little bit about your business, a little bit about your background, and how you came to be owner of a cellular. You know, I mean, that's, you know, what is there, like 4 cellular companies in the Tri-Cities?
There's 3 locally that
You're
I'm
supposed
aware
to
of.
say 1, which is yours.
Just mine, and mine is the only one that matters, right?
That's right.
No, but there's 3 in there. We got a couple of more coming in from out of town, from Seattle side. But for my personal story, I started in electrical probably about 08, 09, doing commercial electrical out in Hawaii State.
Where at?
In Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, out in Honolulu.
Seriously?
Yep.
Man, I like Hawaii.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
So,
But from there, kind of got into the solar boom. Solar got really big in Hawaii right around 2010. I think at that time they were offering 35% in-state tax credit with the 30% federal tax credit.
Right.
So 65% off. It was flying like hotcakes.
Yeah.
And got caught up in that boom. Worked solar for a few years. Ended up becoming electrical lead in Hawaii. Moved to the mainland, as they like to call it in Hawaii, to Utah, and over there got more onto the installation side, became a crew lead, and also started attending Solar Energy Institute
Okay.
in Colorado to go through the process of becoming NAPCEP certified,
Sure.
which is the top certification in solar.
Okay.
Was able to become photovoltaic certified and also technical sales certified, which is a pretty good accomplishment in the solar world.
Sure it is.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
And that kind of led me to coming here. My wife's family is from here, and led me to come out to this beautiful Eastern Washington.
Beautiful Eastern Washington.
Came out here with all my prior solar experience, looked around and didn't see solar on nobody's roof.
Really?
And the solar radiance here is amazing. Sun more than 300 plus days a year. I was like, why is there no solar?
Right.
Did a little bit of research, found out why. The cost of power is 6.7 cents per kilowatt hour. And, you know, and
Pretty
that's
cheap electricity
oh,
here.
very cheap.
What's
yeah.
it in Hawaii?
Man, off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I like to say it was around 35 cents.
Wow. Yeah, I know Washington, I think it's the cheapest in the nation, right?
Eastern Washington, I think, is number 2
Oh, yeah?
in the country.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's amazing prices, but it does make for a longer payback.
Uh-huh.
And, when people have low bills, they ask themselves, why do I need solar?
Right.
So,
Well, I know for myself, because we've been looking at getting solar, and, like the last house we lived in, it was electric and gas.
Right.
So it really honestly didn't make sense, for us, for a portion of the year where we, because we cooled our house with electric. And so our new house that we're in, we're all electric, and, we looks like we'll be, a little bit less, about even, you know what I mean? But to me, now, this is just me, probably all of our radio listeners, I don't trust the government, and the route that they're going, I just don't see solar or electric getting cheaper, and with it not getting cheaper, I think in the long run, I'll, save money in that sense, you know what I mean? And I'm going to be paying it anyways, and so that's what we've been looking at. That's kind of how I met you. I actually
Right.
looked at everybody to include 2 places out of town, 2 or 3 out of town, and so met you. You're a military guy. I was a military guy, so that made it a little bit easier, And,
and I'm sure you like that military discount we offered you also.
yes,
right?
I did. You told me not to tell anybody that.
Yeah,
So.
all right. We can talk about the military discount, just not specific numbers.
Yes,
'Cause
exactly.
We're taking care of you.
Yeah,
You better
so,
believe it.
but anyways, yeah, so, and then one of the things when I talked to Ron,
Right.
when I was looking at solar, he says it doesn't change the price of the houses. That's what you were telling me. That,
Correct, right.
So, and then, I don't think you ever told me, I don't remember it, but I know a couple of guys says, oh, you'll get, X percentage increase on the value of your home, right? And then when I did the research on the internet, it does say that, I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was like 5 or 6%. So, but then when I talked to you, you said you don't see that.
Not right,
you know.
not in our market, no. That's not to say that things won't change as maybe it becomes more prominent and a more of a desired feature, right? So, it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay extra for. So
Right.
I see down the road, for instance, in the state of Washington, gas is going to become a thing of the past.
Yeah.
There's already places in the western side of Washington where
Right.
gas appliances are being done away with.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, so I see those instances where, as the market begins to shift, they'll become more attractive, and then people are willing to pay more for that, and it will add value. But right now, we're not seeing it.
Now, this is not off topic, but personal. So if gas no longer, let's say they come in and they turn off our gas, right?
Right.
So will I be able to use propane? Because I got a nice stove that I spent good
Right.
money on, I want to
Yeah.
use.
Yeah, apparently there's a difference between propane and the natural gas that comes into the house, but the direction that it's going is they're doing with all gas. So like up in Bellingham at the point of sale, all gas appliances, furnaces, water heaters all have to be removed from the house.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Really?
yeah. And wood burning stoves or wood burning fireplaces have to be,
Wood burning fireplaces.
yeah.
Right.
So if you have a fireplace that burns wood,
They're going for zero emission, right?
zero
So
emission,
It's all
correct,
about total green,
right.
hardcore green.
Well, I mean, okay, but I think, okay.
But I would like to make a comment about the appraisals, if you don't mind. I just spoke with a appraiser locally a few weeks ago, and it was about the same topic. And you're accurate on what you're saying about that, and it is going to take time, because speaking with the appraiser, it seems like it's all based upon relative values. You have to have some homes in the same neighborhood being sold that have solar on it, so
Right.
that there's something relative for them to compare it to,
Right.
so that they can give it an appraisal value that is higher. If
That's
there's
correct.
nothing selling in your neighborhood with solar on it, and not even in the recent past, there's nothing to compare it to.
That's
So
exactly
they
right.
can't give you the
Right.
appraisal value. There's way more installations going in now more than ever.
Right.
So shortly, like you're saying, very shortly, we should be at that
Well, I
point.
think the push, I mean, I've always looked at solar, but I've never been in the military, never going to live in one place long enough to recoup anything, you know what I mean?
Right.
So now I'm retired, I can live in one spot and not have to worry about moving, for an extended period of time, you know what I mean? But, the one thing I know about the house, if I get a house, and, it's kind of a question towards you, and I know our topic's on, and we'll get there,
Yeah,
but,
it's-
so, well, I know this, but this is people buying houses right now, so they might appreciate some of this knowledge, all right? So, but when you buy a house, the way I understand, okay, is here's the footprint of the house, this is the value between this and this, right?
Right.
I'm going to be able to sell the house within a
A certain range.
certain range.
Right.
Now, if I got nicer appliances, chances of it being sold for a little bit higher. It'll
At the
be there.
upper end of that
Right.
range.
So, and as if I get granite countertops or quartz, then it might go up a little bit.
Right.
If I got somewhat of a view, it goes up a little bit. Wouldn't the same principle apply if I got solar, though?
Possibly,
know.
maybe in the future. So think of it like a swimming pool.
Uh-huh.
So I have a home in a neighborhood that I'm listing has a swimming pool. How do I figure out the value of that pool? What I do is I look at the homes that have sold in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
all the homes that have sold without a pool, and then I look at the value of the homes that have sold with a pool. And the difference between those is going to tell me relatively what the value of a pool is in that neighborhood. It's going to be, and
Right.
Patrick brought up the same thing with the solar homes. So we're going to look at home sales in the neighborhood of
Okay.
homes that have sold without solar power, and then we're going to look at properties that have sold with solar power, and that's going to give us a relative value of what the
Okay.
solar-powered home is
So
worth.
since we're talking to Christians right now, the majority of our audience is Christians, and if you're not a Christian, go to church, meet Jesus, get saved so you can live forever. All right.
And
but-
get solar power.
And get solar power. But it tells us in the scriptures that we should be taking care of our lands, right? I mean, right in the beginning of the book,
Correct.
where the man took and put him in the garden to work and keep it,
Right.
right?
Stewards.
So we're stewards, and then so, I mean, I'm not saying that the Christians need to go buy solar, but and for me, it actually has nothing to do with being Christianity. It has more to do with saving money. You know what I mean?
Right.
And but us taking care of the planet, what does that mean in the sense of being a Christian? And now we're not necessarily going to be talking about solar, and but.
Well, I think
what-
it includes it because I think stewardship of creation is a part of the mandate that God gives his people.
Right.
And the scripture that you referenced there about tilling and keeping or working and keeping the land, those Hebrew words there are very, very interesting. And so this
Why are they
idea that
interesting?
our part of working or tilling the land is also offered as a worship that we offer to God.
Right. So is
So-
that what you mean by the word being interesting, the Hebrew word? Because
Yes,
there's
that's
a-
what
there's
it's
an
interesting.
indication.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's that Hebrew word is used in other places in reference to worshiping God.
Right.
So part of how we interact with creation is very much a part of our what we do as people of faith.
Uh-huh.
I've often said, I love backpacking and camping
Right.
outdoors, and I've often said over the years that creation is really my cathedral. When I'm outdoors and I'm under the stars, when I'm backpacking up in the mountains, when I'm at a lake, up at 7,000 feet, I feel most close to God in those moments than any other time.
That's why I got a camper.
That's why you got a camper.
Yeah, because
Right.
my wife, we're up in the mountains, right? We're actually in Lake Chelan. And She
Right.
goes, I want to go hiking in the mountains. So we're up there, and we're up there pretty high, and we can see the entire lake.
Sure,
Beautiful, right?
right, yeah.
And she's telling me how beautiful it is. Isn't this relaxing? And I'm not relaxed, right? I'm looking at the terrain, looking at the elevations. I'm looking at like where to walk, and I'm like, no, this is what I did for a living. I didn't come up here to enjoy the scenery. I would come up here and practice fighting someone in another country, and I never found it relaxing because that's what I did for a living, right? So then I told her, I said, fine, we'll get a camper. Then I got a camper, and then all I did is I went and paid $80 to put it into a dirt thing with some dude next to me that's too loud and I don't like.
Oh, man,
And then I
that's
thought, well, this is no fun. So then I went and got me an overland camper. And now the last time I went out, there was nobody around.
That's the way
and
to
I was
do it.
about 7,000 feet. And
Why do I want
it
to
was
leave
great.
crowded suburbia for a crowded campground?
Exactly.
That never made any sense to me.
I know it. That's
Yes.
I never thought about that when I got the camper. I thought, oh, I'll just get a camper. I did want like a teardrop style camper, right?
Gotcha.
And an overland camper. And she wanted one that had a bathroom and a shower,
Right.
So, okay, we got one. And it was nice. I actually liked it, enjoyed it. I lived in it when my house was being built. But no, then I went camping, and I'm like, this is dumb. You know, these dudes next to me were annoying, you know?
Right.
And I have to pay to be next to annoying dudes.
Right.
You know, it's not like when you're in a hotel. At least you can call the front desk and tell them to be quiet, you know?
Right.
Anyways, I'll stop ranting.
You're ranting now,
So,
so.
I want to read this right here because there is something that probably does bug me, you know? This is in Numbers chapter 35. You shall not pollute the land which you live, for the blood polluted land and no atonement. So, and we can go on from there. But it tells us really we need to take care of our land, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think we do a good job at that. You know, I understand we're going to have trash and we're going to have landfills. We can do that. But we've got enough technology now that we can do better.
Right.
I remember one time I was at this thing, and then I'll let you talk. This is another story, all right? And this bugged the heck out of me to this day. This lady's running around with straws all over her body. Right?
Straws?
Plastic straws to
Plastic
save.
straws.
Yes, to save the turtles, right?
Right.
And that whole thing, I think, is a little bit of a ploy. That one turtle and maybe a couple, you know, I believe that we shouldn't have to have plastic. I don't, you know, we can go
Sure.
back to glass. I agree with that.
Right.
The turtle thing, I think, is just hyped up, right? Then the other lady's running around with plastic bags all over her, right?
Right.
I thought, hey, outstanding. They got a green thing they're talking about, right? So I go over there, and I'm talking to the lady, and she's telling me all this stuff. She gives me these 2 straws. I think they're glass straws, right? When you go to Starbucks, tell them you don't want the straw. Get the glass straw. Outstanding, right? So we get the glass straws. I'm walking away, and I look behind her, and I see a Starbucks cup with a plastic straw in it. And I said, is that your cup? And she goes, yeah. And I go, you're a hip. Oh, I was so angry. She's sitting there preaching one thing, and she's doing what she's preaching against.
Right.
So,
Sounds like a lot of church people.
yeah, anyways, I won't rant any. That one was, so I do agree. I think we can get rid of plastic bottles and all these things. We can do a better job at that. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of our biggest things that we need to take care of. Solar energy, I think, is wonderful. I think that makes a positive impact not only on the person's wallet, but on the energy,
Sure.
you know. But the trash thing is something that I think
But
we need to
I
do
think
better.
this is a conversation that sometimes the church is not very well equipped for.
Uh-huh.
At least in the circles I've run around in, you know, and I've done a lot of hunting and fishing over the years, a lot of backpacking and camping. But it seems to me that there's a lot of people in the church world who think that the resources of the world are there just for their personal enjoyment and amusement, and that there is no responsibility that they really have toward creation care. And I don't think that we've done a really good job at discipling or teaching our people around what our attitude toward God's creation should be.
Yeah.
It's interesting that verse that you quoted in Genesis, the word there, keeping it, he's going to till it and keep it. The word there, keeping it, is very interesting because it really has the idea of surveying it for care.
Right, yeah.
Looking across the
Yeah.
land and seeing where
Yeah.
it needs to be healed.
Well, one of the things they used to do, and you can chime in anytime. You don't have to be so quiet. Just interrupt us, all
problem.
right? We've been doing this for a
Lauren does it
while.
all the time,
So,
No problem.
you know, when you rotate in the crops, I think it's, and I'm not a farmer, so I might be wrong about this, but I do know what the Bible says. It's every 7 years, right?
Right.
You let the ground rest.
Right.
Well, we don't even do that anymore, you know? And
Right.
we've modified. I mean, have you ever been to a country where the fruit or the vegetables or even the meat has not been tampered with?
Oh, yeah.
You're full.
Yeah.
You're not hungry again.
I've never.
It's
like
amazing.
Have you ever had like a real banana?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
Dude,
understand.
they are
Real bread doesn't last
even
so
real
long.
bread.
Yeah.
It lasts a few days, you know.
Yeah.
But it's good when it's fresh.
Oh,
It's
man.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
So it just, but now we eat and it's not satisfying, because they've tampered. You got an apple that's supposed to be this big, now it's this big,
Right.
and, I mean.
Well, and I think that's some of the misunderstanding, and really, came out of the whole industrial movement. This idea that we are to take and rule over creation and bend it whichever way we think for our benefit.
What verse is that?
It's not in the Bible, but that's the attitude
Right.
that is taken is that the material world is just there for ours for the taking. And so whether it's drilling for oil or digging for ore or using the resources. And so, you look at the history of the industrial age moving forward, and not just the incredible ravaging of the land, but the pollution that came out of that. And somewhere along the line, I think we have to realize, and I believe that the Christian, the church, should be one of the biggest leading voices in crying out and trying to heal creation.
I got a question, because you do solar, and you and your
Right.
wife are Christians. Since you're working with all demographics of people, or at least probably, I suppose the homeless person that lives in a tent probably not looking for solar.
With the caveat of homeowner.
Yes, of homeowner.
Right.
Okay, so do you find that there are more Christians buying solar or secular people buying solar, and is there a difference in how they talk about it? I mean, and you're from where again?
I grew up here in
Oh,
Washington
you're
and in Hawaii.
Columbia Basin Solar.
Sorry, from Columbia Basin Solar.
Yes, and how do they
But,
get a hold of you?
You can reach us on the internet, www.columbiabasinsolar.com.
If I just Googled solar Tri-Cities, we could find you.
Right.
Right?
It'll pop up.
Yes, and you probably see them on YouTube if you ever watch YouTube.
Got to keep paying for our SEO and SEM.
That's right.
You got a commercial on there.
Right.
But
But,
you're better looking on TV, though.
but yeah,
Unbelievable.
the screen helps or it hurts. It hasn't helped me
He's
too
like,
much
I don't
yet.
know what to say to that.
Well, that's just because Gordon has a face for radio.
I do. I do.
We all can't be so photogenic, right? But no, talking about the
Our
demographics
viewing went down when we came on
Right,
live.
that's right.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's good. You're getting into the demographics of solar, and people generally buy for 3 different reasons. One of them is they want to go green and they care about the environment. Number 2 is, of course, the financial aspect. Number 3 is tech. A lot of guys want to keep up with the tech, and they want to have the newest, best stuff. They might drive the Tesla, and they want the Tesla battery backup, and they're just going hardcore Tesla. They like to watch Elon Musk on YouTube.
Right.
And we want to cater to all these guys.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So what we find out as far as the politics of it is, of course, you're going to get more of the Democratic liberal. They're going to be more pro-green, but of course they care about their money more. More on the other side, on the conservative side, more so the Christian side, is just what you come across. It's more about the financial aspect.
Okay, so
And
I guess that's
just-
mine
That's
then.
interesting.
Right.
Right.
It's more about the finances, and we
Now-
do need to be good with our investments. We got to invest the minus, right? We need
Yeah.
to come back to the Lord with some return on our
Right.
investment. We're
I
not supposed
mean-
to bury it.
That's a good point.
Solar is a good investment. It does come back with something.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, otherwise, why would I do it?
The payback
You know.
period may be debatable, right? People debate about the payback period. Let's say what we know for sure. We know the electricity rate is going to go up 3 to 4% on average every year,
Yeah.
right? So your electric bill is going to go up for sure.
Right.
And we know that with the politics in Washington State, it's possible up to 4 dams may be removed. Now, that's a long shot, but do you know what that would do to your electric bill?
Oh, yeah.
That would
Yeah.
devastate your electric bill.
Right.
And solar would go up out of the roof, right?
You know, the cleanest country for electricity-wise is France.
It's
You know-
nuclear
Really?
power.
Yes, and it's because of nuclear power.
Nuclear power is a
Yeah.
viable option, and the technology is increasing all the time.
Yeah, but we
You
won't
can't-
do that in America, so.
It's not green, but
Yeah, so,
Right.
but, when the solar, the thing of it is when you're talking, because I've talked to all the, I did a lot of estimates and, research, I figured, because I don't know a lot about it, so I just figured I'd talk to all the experts, and, You know, there's one dude that was way out there, you know what I mean? So you eliminate him, you know, and everybody else is pretty close, you know what I mean?
Give it his outliers.
And you know, with that, you're like, okay, the goal that I seen for all the solar people coming in was really not to cost me any more money. Do you know what I mean? So in other words, my bill average is 178 from what it is right now. I've been there 5 months, so I've averaged 178. So their goal is to come in and at least that, because then it's not costing me any money.
Right.
And if everything stays the same, great. If electricity goes up, then I'm saving some money. You know, you're gonna spend it anyways. That's the whole thing. I mean, that's what my wife really was not wanting to do solar, because it's a debt as opposed to electric bill. It's not a debt. But I'm like, but we're still paying it.
It's an asset. It's
And
definitely
we're-
an asset in my opinion. I'm biased, of
So,
course.
yeah, but that's
And
okay.
I'll say I'm biased.
That's okay. You own the company.
Right.
So anyways, I want to go to Jeremiah. You brought me into a plentiful land, but enjoy the fruits and its good things. But when you come in and you defiled my land and made heritage of abomination, right? That's where when we look at the scriptures, we can go through, I mean, lots and lots of scriptures, you know. And God He wants us to take care of the land. We should honor what He's given us. And, you know, one of the things, I remember one person was talking to me because they really didn't feel like I was green. You know, they're really green energy, green everything, you know, and they didn't feel like, oh, you're not green. I said, that's not true. You know what I mean? I actually do feel, one of the biggest things, I do not feel Seattle, Los Angeles, New York, any major metropolitan area is good for the environment. I don't think that makes a positive impact on the environment. Just the roads and buildings alone, you know what I mean? And, you know, but how do we stop that? You know,
Right.
how do you stop the pollution of the plastics? Because that's really the biggest issue, the water bottles, you know. How do you stop those things, you know? As my individual, you're going to see me drinking with a plastic water bottle. Why? It's convenient. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I agree with it, but what's my alternative? Now, I do on occasion, I buy the glass ones when they're available. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But, you know, to buy a Costco $3, 42 pack, you know? Or
Right.
I go over here and buy, you know, 6 bottles for $6, you know? And, so, you know, there is some things, but see, like at my house, I put a water softener in my house so I can drink the water and it tastes good, you know what I mean? So I spend extra money on that so I can have water in my house and drink it. So now I have glass bottles in my refrigerator, you know? So I do what I can, but one person's great, but when we do it collectively, then we start to make an impact, you know? And I think those are the things that we need to learn, and then of course, you know, I do see some companies, you know, like, you know, making with glass, you know, and things like that.
Sure. And I think that's part of the struggle or debate, particularly with conservatives and a lot of them in the church, is, you know, how are we going to make those collective shifts? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, there's a real buck against the system among conservatives and people in the church when the government comes in and says, okay, what we need to do is we need to do X, Y, Z in order. We all need to shift together, so we all need to do this together. And then the conservatives rise up and say, well, you can't tell us what to do, you know.
Right.
And so it's, you know, it's one of those things where you can look at Scripture, you can see where creation care is a very important part of why God placed humankind here on earth. It's a part of our worship, the Bible says. But then when it comes down to policy,
Right.
creating, you know,
Yeah.
government policy or public policy about how we're going to carry this out becomes a whole different
And that's the
thing, right? And so
right, but that's the pros
we got
and
dams
cons.
who, you know,
Yeah.
provide us resources with electricity and
It's super
irrigation
cheap.
water, but we're killing off the salmon runs. So do we get rid of the dams to restore the salmon runs and restore the natural habitat?
but we got
then
salmon
that's gonna
ladders.
cost us something, right?
Hey,
Right.
we're coming to the end here.
Oh,
I'm-
you always do this to me.
I know, but it is. I've been.
I get
But
to
I don't
my
want to
point
interrupt
and
you
we're
at the
just
end.
getting
You know,
going.
he-
We're just
He
getting
finally
going.
starts talking at the end, and then he wants to extend the time. You know, we can extend the time on Facebook, but anyways, I'm Gordon Walsh.
I'm Ron Ollenberg.
Patrick Harley, Columbia Basin Solar.
Yep, Google, if you just Google solar, Columbia, the river, you'll remember it. So Google it, get some, talk to them. You never know, you might save some money. I mean, at least investigate it.
Right.
All right, hey, God bless, Godspeed.
Lord bless you.
All right.
Yeah, I know. There's so many debatable topics. You know, the funny thing about glass, you can't even really recycle it right now, and you couldn't for the last year or two because China stopped buying it, right? So
Yeah.
all that glass is really ending up in landfills and in the ocean and everywhere else. Right. And man, I appreciate you guys helping
Yeah.
to keep it from going too political. It's hard to talk about energy